I'm fine. Oh my god, we were all worried. Frankly, we were terrified. But it's okay. Because it is a costume, it is my stoom. I am dressed as exactly dead. 100%, that's exactly what I'm dressed as. So, now that we've got that out of the way, welcome to the spookiest whisper ramble ever. I think ever is okay to say. I'm spooked, and I certainly do hope you are. Okay, this is the point of the video. I need you to understand. It's Halloween soon. We're about to move in to, well, it's been Halloween for a couple of months, but Halloween week is next week, and I'm doing two videos, because I do upload, if you don't know, Tuesdays and Saturdays. So I'm gonna do two very specific Halloween videos. They are both reading of different stories. So I hope you enjoy that. Get you in the mood, and of course, because Halloween is on a Saturday, I think it's on a Saturday. Let me check really quickly. I'm pretty sure that it's on a Saturday. It is actually on a Saturday. So because it's on a Saturday, I'm gonna upload one directly on Halloween, and you'll get to find out what that is. I've also recorded a cute little intro for the Halloween videos, and that's exciting. So that was my quick update before we get into all the spookiness that shall ensue. Okay, first of all, thanks for supporting. Thanks for keeping up. Comments are so nice. You don't need to be that nice. It's just not fair on everyone else. But thank you. Thank you. I really, really appreciate it. It's great. I'm enjoying it. I hope you are. It's just fun to make a video here and there. I actually haven't made a video in a while, so I'm definitely rusty. It's like when you don't do exercise for a while and your fitness goes down to zero. I think my personality goes to zero unless I'm constantly working on it. But my excuse is that I'm dead. So, you have to cut me some slack here and there. Anyway, shall we discuss some spooky things? Do you want to do that? I'm sure you do. You came here to talk about spooky things. I don't have any stories to tell, but I thought I could go through maybe some of my favorite horror films or stuff like that. I'm pretty sure I've talked about Marianne, Haunting of Hill House, but Haunting of Bly Manor will be out by the time that this video is out, and I'm sure I'll have watched it. Unfortunately, this is not going to be a review of anything like that. I hope it was really good. Anyway, I hope you watched it. If you want to, don't be forced into spooky things. Please, because putting yourself in a spooky situation, it's not worth it. It's really not. How about we talk about Halloween costumes first? Because that's important. I want to know what you're going to go as if you're going to dress up. I'm probably not going to, apart from this really creative look that I have going on right now. I was super into dressing up as a kid. I used to wear like extravagant homemade costumes. I was a mummy. We like got a full-on paper mache hat and like mummified it, and it was great. A little bit of blood here and there, really bring the character to life. So that was like, I think that was my peak look. I was also a scarecrow, which with hay included, so that was exciting too. I had like a big straw hat, and I had like puffed out my chest and midsection to be filled with straw, and I wasn't in school at the time, and I would walk the halls and just leave a trail of straw behind me. I felt so bad leaving school because I had like my whole costume was just on the floor. I dressed up as Toad from Mario. He's the little mushroom guy, and we got a little waistcoat because he wears a waistcoat, and I bought little cheap Ugg boots because he wears boots, and of mushroom head? Well, let me explain to you. What we did was we got an old pillow and we cut into it and then put a beanie in there. Sewed the beanie in and then sewed little spots because he has the little red spots on him, and then put that on, and there we go. We've completed the look. I became a mushroom there and then. I think that those are my three kind of highlighted costumes that pop into my head, but I know I was other things. One time I went as a dinosaur. I just wore a dinosaur onesie, so that was a quick and easy one. I'm pretty sure one time I just wore a big flag and was a superhero. I think it was an Irish flag and I was just an Irish superhero. I think I'm almost 100% sure. I just wore normal casual clothing and then a flag, and that made me a superhero. Other than that, I can't think of like any big costumes, but I was really into that. Anytime we had something in we call it primary school, so we're like little babies. I think it's up until age 11 you do that. So we had like different days to dress up as. We had like a Halloween, we had like a Titanic event. We had all dressed up as people from the Titanic, and that was great fun. I put a lot of effort into that. I wore the same waistcoat for my Toad outfit, which was very fitting for the Titanic era. And again, yeah, I haven't dressed up in the last few years because I am definitely too lazy to do anything like that. But I think it's really fun to like craft an entire outfit rather than just buying one. But I do understand that a lot of times the bought ones are a little bit higher quality, unless you have some good sewing skills, which I can hand sew a thing, but it's going to take me 100 years, and I'm not that great. But I thankfully had a lot of help as a kid to create my outfits. But now that we've talked about costumes, let's talk about sweets, candy, food, chocolate, because walking around, knocking on them doors and saying trick or treat, and then opening your bag, it really told, first of all, who opened the door, who turned off the lights, who closed, who shut the shutters. They said, no kids, we ain't allowing anybody in. But the ones who would come to the door and just throw the stuff in the bag, or the ones who were like, oh my god, y'all look amazing, wow, good for you, and then it give you some good stuff. You know the houses that you'd like, that's the house, and you'd go there like one of the first ones because you want to get that big chocolate bar or that big selection of sweets or something. But there was always that one who dropped some like nuts or like an apple in there. I didn't come here to eat no goddamn apples. I didn't come here to break open a nut. No. I came here to rip open a packet and shove that in my mouth. That's it. So, it felt just kind of rude that someone could do that to me as a young child. But I did always go from like really, really nervous to go and knock on other people's doors and say trick or treat and have them interact with me, to being really, really excited once I start getting stuff, to going back to being like nervous, and then boredom. The boredom hits and you're just like, okay, I want to go home. My bag is full enough. I'm fine. Please just let me go home. And that cycle continues for a little while, and then you finally go home, and then you eat a lot, and then you don't eat. A lot of it just gets thrown out because there's just so much. But that will probably be happening this year. My god. I've also been on the other end of like giving out the sweets, and it's a delight a lot of times, unless they're just, the kids come by and they're like blank faced, give me the sweets. You're like, okay, you look great. But it is fun to see some of the costumes that people can come up with. I love Halloween, and I have only come to appreciate it, or like a novelty holiday, and then you start getting older, and then you can experience the joys of horror movies and kind of like spooky stories with friends. I used to love the build up to Halloween, you know, telling like scary urban legends and stuff like that. It was always my favorite. So for me, horror started off with Scream. I watched Scream 4 with a friend of mine when we were about 10. So that was my first horror movie, and it terrified me, which is so funny to look back on because Scream 4 is, well, all the Scream movies are basically like horror comedies. There's not a whole lot of tension build up. Not that the Scream movies aren't great, but particularly Scream 4, I don't know, we were just not okay with it. And from there, it kind of progressed. I watched some of the classics, Nightmare on Elm Street, that kind of stuff. And only really recently, like in the last couple of years, have I just fully gotten into horror. In terms of like, I started The Conjurings, I started Insidious, which I've only watched 2 of those, and I hated the first one, but I did like the second one. I just feel like I like horror. It's kind of mindless unless it does stick with you, and sometimes it can if you're a wimp like me. I've had, like, particularly Marianne, again, I've talked about it in a different video, but if you haven't seen that video, here's just a quick recap. Marianne is a French horror show on Netflix, which you should watch if you are mentally okay. It is about a witch, or like a demon witch who possesses people and whatever. So anyway, total spooky. And it's French, so I thought French people don't scare me. Turns out they do. Turns out French people are the scariest. Turns out old French women are the scariest of all time. And that's just factual facts for me. I just couldn't look in dark corners. I wouldn't. No. Darkness. No. No, Marianne. No. So that's still. And it kind of freaks me out to even think of some of the scenes in it because it just like. I don't know. I had this really intense reaction to it. But anyway, I really like appreciated it at the same time. Like I look back on it quite fondly because I do think it is very impressive that something can make me feel that way. And not, that's hard to do. It's hard to make people feel that way. So I am impressed by it. The fact that it could do that. I'm impressed by The Haunting of Hill House for its technical way and its storytelling and its spooks and scares. If you know the show, again, I don't know if I've talked about any of this before. I'm about 2% brain capacity at all times. But there's a specific jump scare that just, oh my god. I like jump scares, but they don't ever impress me. Like, okay, you just made me jump for a second. This one will always stick with me because I was watching on my computer, in bed, on my knees, just la 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 la. It's a horror show, so every so often I'm, oh god, or like, it's creepy. It happened, and I just smashed the spacebar to pause it, and then threw my laptop off my knees. And then my whole body just got like fully hot, and it scared me beyond any jump scare I've ever been scared by, because in a particular scene there's a conversation, and it's kind of further into the series, so you're invested in the characters at this stage, and the conversation is really interesting because, like, oh, okay, and you're like getting closer and closer, and then it jumps out, and it just ruined my whole night. Oh my god. And it's never gonna scare me again because obviously I know the jump scare at this point, but god, it was just such an intense reaction to a scare. Other than that, let me think. I've watched some terrible horror movies. How about that? Some really, really, really bad horror movies. I watched one called #horror, which I think is or was on Netflix. is a 2015 American horror film written by Tara. Okay, that's not important for now. It just wasn't great, but let me find the plot. Okay. Oh god, that's a long one. This is just not interesting right now. We're going all the way onto IMDb just to find this. Oh my god. Okay. 6 pre-adolescent girls face a night of terror when a compulsive addiction to an online social media game turns a moment of cyberbullying into a night of insanity. So basically, these girls go into an app and they do different things, and then they have a stalker, and then the stalker is posting videos of them on social media, and it's just, I don't remember any of it making any sense, but it wasted some time and was worth it, because you'll always have those conversation starters of, oh, I watched this movie, it was so bad. Sometimes I really just want to watch a bad movie, you know? I don't know if anyone else is like that, where you just want to watch something that's terrible, just completely terrible. But I do like a terrible movie here and there, so I hope that you guys are staying spooked, staying scared. I hope that you're staying safe, most of all. If you're going to go out and do any trick-or-treating, please be safe. Y'all should be wearing masks because it's Halloween, but you might need an extra layer. But you know what? I'm sure we're creative. We can come up with interesting ways to keep Halloween alive, even without going trick-or-treating. So, yes, I do hope you are staying safe. I hope you are doing well in these spooky times. I'm very excited for the next week, the next 2 videos, because I like them, so I will spoil a little bit. One of them is an internet story, and the other one is from a famous book. But the internet story is written obviously by somebody on the internet, and it was really important for me to make sure that I could read the story, because I've seen a lot of people do videos on this particular web story place, and I didn't want to just, take somebody's work and just read it. So anyway, I got to message them, and they got back to me, and they were really kind of at the ASMR thing, because, not everyone is going to be interested in the fact that ASMR is a thing. I think people definitely find it weird, so it was really nice of them to first of all allow me to read their story, and also to be so kind and nice about the ASMR thing, which was not something I expected. I expected as soon as I said ASMR for them to be like, no, you will not write my story, sir. But they gave me permission, and it was good. So check back. Tuesday is when that one's coming up, and Saturday is when the famous book story will be coming up. So I'm excited for that. I hope you are too. I hope you're getting into the spooky mood, and I hope things are getting cozier. Can you feel it? I can feel things getting cozier. I think I like Halloween so much as well, because not only is it spooky and scary, it also is quite close to the time that is. It's close to Christmas, and Christmas and winter is just for me. It's where it's at for me. I love that cozy feeling of being inside and everything's warm and welcoming, and yes, that is my vibe. I don't hate summer, but I definitely relate to summertime sadness, and I don't relate to winter or seasonal depression winter wise, because it is my favorite time of year. It really is. I just love it. I love the coziness. I feel like people are generally they're nicer sometimes, not all the time. And it's not even the Christmas of it all, although I do love some Christmas music, and I don't want to talk too much about Christmas in a Halloween video, but it's it's just the winter coziness. Anyway, back to Halloween, shall we? The interesting thing about Halloween, I'm ready for this history lesson because I have no background in history or no authority to tell you this. However, I'm pretty sure Halloween, maybe not as it's currently known, but it's an Irish thing. It's the Irish word for it is Ihauna. It's O-I-C-H-E, I think, is night, and I don't know what Hauna is, which is S-A something. It begins with S, but anyway, Irish is a terrible language, don't bother. But it is like an old pagan Irish, like, you know, it's an old Irish thing, and it's very like bonfires are like a big thing. Like communities will come together and bonfire and talk about ghost stories and stuff. So I wonder how that's gonna go this year too, with all this stuff. But yeah, it's really interesting. It is just to look into like the history of Halloween, and I have to say I love a good urban legend. I love a ghost story, but I love an urban legend. I'm a huge fan of like a horror podcast. However, my favorite podcast right now, and I assume forever, will be Scary Stories to Tell on the Pod, which is a comedy horror podcast. So it is two comedians, and they talk about horror things. They read stuff from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, the book series, which is a really famous book series from the 80s. I don't know, the time that was before. And they're really funny, and they are just like a constant if I have nothing else to do. And like if I have nothing, you know, to watch at the minute, I'll just throw that on and it will keep me entertained forever. Anytime I go on a walk by myself, anytime I am kind of somewhere where I'm not going to watch something, I'm listening to that, or music sometimes, but if I'm listening to a podcast, it is probably that. So I do highly recommend it if you're looking for a new podcast. I think they're uploading twice a week. I'm a little bit behind because during quarantine I just didn't listen to podcasts as much. Before I was out, I was, you know, going to college and going to work and stuff, so I was like constantly on a bus or walking somewhere, and I always just had my earphones in, always walking, always listening to it. So I was caught up completely before. But now I'm a fair bit behind. I think I'm still in summer. Like I think I'm listening to the August podcasts at the minute. So they're doing like, for me, my present day is they're doing campfire kind of stories. So it's like listener stories, but obviously that's not what they're doing now. But I really love it. I think it's such a good mix of scary stories and comedy, and I think their humor really blends with what I like to listen to. So again, recommendation from me, and it is tied into the horror of it all. Speaking of scary stories to tell in the dark, I did watch that movie with zero expectations of it being scary, and you know what? It was kind of spooky for a PG movie. There was a few spooks in there, like body horror maybe, and the creatures are terrifying. So overall, I'd give that a recommendation too. What I don't really give a recommendation if you're looking for a horror movie is It Chapter 2. It's more of a comedy, to be honest. Comedy drama with a little bit of like clown. It just isn't scary to me. I don't know what they were thinking. Am I saying it's bad? No, it's actually not too bad, but it is not a horror movie. The first one is a little bit scarier, but again, it's gonna be it. It's not gonna be the scariest thing in the world. And yeah, so again, let me recommend it. Recommend Scary Stories to Tell on the Pod and the movie Scary because you're like scared to put your, I don't know if everyone knows what popping for apples is, but basically you have a big tub of water and you put apples in there, and then you dunk your head in to try and get the apple in your mouth. And if you are scared, the apple's not going in. You gotta go full head in, deep into the bowl or whatever it is, and bite that apple. And once you get into it, you're just gonna roll through. And I used to do that. So I used to have like a few timid like dip, and then you just slam your head in, and it all just goes really well. So that's exciting. Another one, I don't exactly know what the concoction was, but I know it involved like baked beans or like spaghetti and tomato sauce, and you put your hand in and you try to reach for different sweets or chocolate or something. But I know it was like a mix of like gross things, but they were all just like slimy foods, like probably jelly and stuff like that. And you had to be blindfolded and you reach in and you like look for the chocolate, and then you pick it out, and well done, you just want a piece of chocolate. Another one that I hated was you tie an apple to a string and you like suspend the string from a doorway, and then you try to bite the apple. It was just not fun because I never was able to do it, and it's just everyone laughing because you're not able to do it, and then you're getting stressed out and frustrated, and you're trying to bite the apple, and then you're getting annoyed, and then everyone's like, oh my god, you're just so bad at this, and I'm like, I know I'm so bad at this, I'm so sorry. And then Halloween's ruined for you. I'm trying to think of other little Halloween spooks and scares, but I don't think there is many other traditions or games we had. Like, we don't have any traditions in my family to do with Halloween, apart from obviously those games, but I feel like they're quite universal in Ireland anyway, and I'm sure that they're international, I don't know. So I think that's all the traditions or kind of like games we played. I think so. I don't think so. I don't think so anymore. And I think I'm about out. There's other kind of, oh my god, I almost forgot about pumpkins. Guys, why didn't you remind me to talk about pumpkins before this point? God, okay, so pumpkins. Can we talk about pumpkins for a second? Because they take over. Pumpkin spice lattes aren't completely my thing, or kind of like pumpkin spice things aren't. I mean, I don't hate them, but if I'm going to eat or I'm going to get something, it's just not going to be pumpkin. But I do love a good pumpkin carving. People do take it to the extreme, and then they make you feel bad about your pumpkin because it doesn't have shaved like skin, and like, can y'all stop being so good at art and drawing? I'm really bad at drawing, but I love pumpkin carving. I think it's just so fun. You know, you're just sitting there together, you just cutting out an eye, making a little triangle, making a different face every time. I don't think I've done anything really creative with my pumpkin carvings. It's mostly been different variations on the same face, but it's still just the activity and the joy of it is just fun. So, you know, I don't need it to be a work of art to be fun. That was a lot shorter on pumpkins than I thought it would be, but again, I got all my points out that I wanted to make. Pumpkin carving's fun, pumpkin spice things are okay, and I just can't wait for all the cinnamon things. I like cinnamon things, and that gets to be cinnamon and peppermint, all that kind of stuff for winter, and that's going to be pretty fun. But until then, I shall see you for the next week of videos, which I'm really excited about. And I'll put my new end card, which is just the same end card but with a little bit of orange in it, after this one, just to officially kick off the Halloween week, which I'm calling Whisperween. It's just not creative. Whisperween. Anyway, see you for Whisperween.